doing well today. This is Husband Love Your Wives, and we say good afternoon to everyone. We say good afternoon to everyone. So elated that you all are here. So elated that everybody is here, and we're so thankful. We're so grateful. We were not here on Monday, as you all know. That Monday was a storm day. It was a winter storm day, and we wasn't here. We were not here on Monday, but we're here today, and I hope everybody is doing well today. We had a lot of time to ourselves, and so we're grateful. We're grateful and we're thankful today on Husbands Love Your Wives. I'm going to ask everyone to like and share the live. I am Janet Belton, Coach Janet, Apostle Janet, and so I'm going to ask everybody to share the live today on TikTok, share the live today on YouTube. We are very grateful to be here today, living and well. And so we decided to come on today to share. We're talking about today a few things. We have a lot of ground to cover. So we're going to ask you all to just share the live, share the live. And we're going to ask you all to subscribe. If you have not already done so, we're going to ask you to subscribe, follow, subscribe, we're asking you all to share the live with your family, your friends. This is Husband Love Your Wives, and what we do, we come on and we give tips on relationships. We give it tips on relationships, and we're talking, like today, we're talking about simple ways for a man to give his wife attention. And we're talking about 10 things that a woman should ask a man. We're talking about different things today, and I'm so glad you all decided to join us. We're going to ask you to share the live. If you have enjoyed us in the past, we're going to ask you to share with some others that they can hear some good information on husbands love your wives. We're going to start off with how men can give attention to their wives. How men can give attention to their wives. Well, that's what we're talking about, because a lot of times husbands, they love bomb the woman before they get married to her. They do a lot of love bombing. They do a whole lot of love bombing. Oh my goodness. I mean, they're the best thing since sliced bread, as you would say. But then later on, sometimes the attention span with the husband, not always on the wife, but we got some things here, some tips to help the husband or the husband to be to share with his wife, like listening to your wife, and because I can go and I can tell you all about some of the things that I went through, being married, because sometimes you can get in a good conflict in a marriage, because it's not always sweetie pie, honey bunch in a marriage. And if you're thinking about marriage, or if you're thinking about are you in the marriage, you've already jumped the broom, so to speak. Back in the day, that's what they would say, jumping the broom. And so if you've already jumped the broom and you know about it, some people have been in it, a long time. Some people have been in marriage for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years or more. And so in marriage, a lot of times that it's not always peaches and cream. And so, but we have to stay aware, attentive in any relationship, whether you're married or whether you're thinking about being married. Okay, come on, share the live, everybody. I want everybody to share the live, at least with one person, because we're talking about simple ways Men can give their wife attention. We're talking about how, and if you don't give that wife attention, somebody else will. I remember a lady said that to me about her husband. She said, "Well, if he don't take care of me, somebody else will." So we have to learn, men, that it's good to keep the wife attention, and you need to give her attention. Okay, you need to give your wife attention, and that's very important. Like this, like spending intentional time with your wife. Even if maybe 15 or 30 minutes, spend time and be focused together, that you can talk together, that you can laugh together, that you can pray together. That means a lot to a woman when you spend intentional time with her. Because I know a lot of men love the phone, and they love television, and it's so many things that can take the attention of a man. But when the beginning of the relationship or the marriage, he's constantly love bombing her. I mean, she is the center of his attention. And I like to say that it's good if you started off like that, then you need to continue with that love bombing or that attention. And you can, because that means a lot to a woman, to show affection regularly. Show affection. I mean, I know men like sports, and they like to watch the news, and they like to, like to go out or whatever. But if you married that person, or you interested in that lady, you got to give her some time. I know some men, they like to hug, they like to hold hands, they like to kiss, they like to do all kind of stuff. But before you get married, or in the beginning of the marriage, they're hugging, they're, holding hands, so intimate with each other. But then later on in the marriage, they don't hardly want to touch. And that's not keeping the marriage together. And you don't have to have a special reason to want to hold hands and hug and kiss. You got to keep the connection going. Sometimes it's good just to touch, sometimes, just a little simple touch. We're talking about simple ways that men can give attention to their wives. And one of them is listening, uh, and without wanting to fix everything. You listen. Because a lot of time we women, we like to be talked to, and we don't want to talk to Susan May on the phone. We don't want to talk to Barbara on the phone. We like to have that male attention. We like to have that. That was the fun part of going on dates, because you have that male interaction. A lot of some people might not think about it like this, but it's something about that male, those hormones that the male give off, that's different than a female. I love having the females to get together and laugh and talk, but there's a time when you just want it to be a male on the other end of the table. Okay, and so men, it's good to listen. Put the phone down and listen to your wife, or listen to your future wife. This is Husband Love Your Wives. And we're podcasting. We talk about how husbands can really love their wife as Christ loved the church. I say that often. Okay, and we know what Christ did for the church. Come on, you all. I just want you to like the live and share the live and subscribe if you haven't already done so. How about this one? Speaking kind and affirming words to your wife. How about complimenting your wife? Some wives hardly ever get compliments from their husband. They get more compliments and encouragement and appreciation from other males than their own husband. But when a woman gets that, or a wife gets that from her husband, then it can make the wife feel valued. It can make the wife seem seen, because that means that the husband is paying attention to the wife. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about how a husband, a man, can give attention to their wife. How about this one? Ask her how she's doing and be sincere about it. And really care about the answer of how are you doing, sweetheart? How are you doing? You know, instead of if someone asks how your wife doing, the husband might say, oh, she all right, she doing good. And he hadn't even asked how she was doing. And sometimes, I'm talking about this because this is a lot. This is the beginning. This could be the beginning of a separation in the relationship. Men, you can love bomb that woman in the beginning, and what you did in the beginning, she wants it to continue. How many times do the husband ask the wife, sweetheart, how's your day? How was your day? That goes a long way when the husband is concerned about the wife and he lets her know. How about this one? This is how you give attention to your wife, husband, when you help with the chores. When you're helping around the house, when you're helping with parenting, when you help with the responsibilities of the wife. Listen, I know a lot of husbands might not believe it, but this shows love in action. This shows love in action. When you give that wife attention with helping with the chores, helping with the children, parenting, and helping with the responsibilities. As they used to say, it's tight. A lot of times, the man might not want to, but that's giving your wife attention. That's showing that you really care. And that's showing that you're being present in the relationship. That is showing that you're being present in the relationship when you helping around the house and doing things to make the load easier for the wife. And this is another one. Husbands, praying with your wife and not just allowing her to pray by herself. Praying with your wife, praying together, praying for your wife. What about that one? Praying with her and for her, and praying together. This is husbands, love your wives. And you show that you love your wife when you pray with her and for her. This is Husband Love Your Wives podcast. And we tell these husbands, and we're going to talk about the wives as well, but it's husbands, love your wife and see that the wife reverence her husband. Another thing here is that a lot of times a husband can take for granted that the wife will always be there. If you want your wife to be there, then you show her that you appreciate her and you want her to be there. Remember the things that she likes. Well, if you remember the things that she likes, then you help her and remember and show her that you appreciate the things that she likes and get those things for her. Husbands, love your wives. We're talking about how men can show attention to his wife right now. And then we're going to get on with the 10 things that a woman needs to ask a man. Because we want to make sure that you all know, women, before you say I do, A lot of times that's what I talk about on Husband, Loving Wife. Before you say I do, there's some things that you need to know about that man and some questions that you need to ask. And there's some questions you need to ask. It's time out for women to just be smiling in a man's face, ha 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 ha. And then once they get married, it's like a dynamite, an explosion, because the things that they didn't know about the man. Certain things they didn't know about the man, then they're heartbroken because they didn't they didn't ask the right questions. They didn't look for the red flags. They didn't even look for them. And they were right there. And the last one here is for us, the attention is show consistency, not just moments. Attention isn't about big gestures once in a while. It's about steady love every day. Steady love every day, you all. And that's what we have with the attention. How a man's supposed to give his wife attention. You know, women, we love attention, but some men love attention more than women. And they want to be the prize. But the woman is really the prize. Some men think they the prize, though. They really do. But women are the prize. And I say that because, you all, I'm going to tell you why I say that. Because when a woman marries a man, listen up, you all. When a woman marries a man, whose name is changed? It's not the man. The man name not changed. The woman name is changed. Right? So she really taken off, she's taken off her old name, and she's leaving her family to get with somebody in her family that she doesn't really know. No. So it changes her whole everything. And once she comes into a family that she doesn't really know. I don't know if you all ladies that are married, if you all can remember, you came into a family that you didn't really know those people. You had to learn them. You had to try to get along with them. And sometimes you had a difficult time. Some people had a very difficult time getting along with their in-laws, because you had to learn them. Okay? So the woman is the prize. Always. I want you all to share the live. That's what I want. I want you all to share the live. And women, you need to know. You need to know that you're always the prize. Women need to know that they're always the prize. Women need to know that they're always the prize. Okay? I don't see. I was looking to see if I could see something in the chat. But so now I want to go over 10 questions a woman should ask a man before she gets married. I want to tell you all some questions, share that with you all, some questions that a woman should ask the man. Share the life, because some women need this. Some women jump into marriage, didn't know what they were doing, and ready to get a divorce a year after or before a year. Okay? Because marriage, I want to say this, you all. Marriage is a covenant. Okay? Some people say marriage is a business, but marriage is a covenant. And I want to share that with everybody. If you didn't know, it's a covenant ordained by God. And it's not something that you jump in and jump out of. You jump in and you jump out of, and you don't like that man. And then you jump out of that, then you go and jumping into another marriage. And then you dump that woman, man. Then you say, hey, I don't want her no more. And no. Somebody gonna have to answer to all this marriage and divorce over and over and over again. Now, I can tell you all biblically what the Bible says about divorce, because some people need to get a divorce, and some people God he instructs them to get a divorce. And a lot of people might not believe that. But look, read your Bible and you'll see where it says divorce women. Okay? It talks about it. But you need to have a relationship with God, and God will let you know, because it's no way God wants a woman to stay in some of the foolishness that men that want to put you and keep you in. There's no way, not my Heavenly Father, that He wants you to stay in a marriage and you being mistreated. No, 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 no. God don't want you to stay in that. But you have to make sure and you have to make it right with God Almighty, and let Him let you know if you need to leave. You don't have to have a man to tell you that you got to go. You need to know from God. All right, so but these are the 10 questions that I have that I found that a woman needs to ask a man. Before you jump into this covenant, you need to check this out. And you need to make sure that you're making the right move. Now, if you already in the marriage, I can tell you that you need to pray for sure. You need to pray. And that's just it, bottom line. You need to pray. You need to get therapy. If you can, if you can work out. So for some marriages, and I want to tell you all, everybody's marriage is not the same. Listen up. Everybody married is not the same. But I believe that before you say I do, you need to know what you're getting into. Before you say I do, you need to know what you are getting into. Okay? And as they say, the older people say, marriage is easy to get in, but it's not so easy to get out. Okay? And you better make sure God is allowing you to leave out of the marriage. Okay, number one, 10 questions a woman should ask a man. And that is, number one, what are your long-term goals and aspirations in life? What are your long-term goals and aspirations? And I want to share this with you. If you're married right now, you can ask these questions right now. And that man need to have, I have a daughter that said this one time. She said, if you go with the flow with a man that don't have a plan, you're going to wind yourself up in a desert. That's what she said. If you go with the flow with a man who don't have a plan, you're going to wind yourself up in the desert. So the man needs to have a plan. And number one is you need to ask that man, what are your long-term goals and aspirations in life? I'm telling you ladies, because I got married at 18 and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. He definitely didn't know what he was doing because he didn't have a plan. And so I'm telling you all that the man should have a plan. And he should have a long-term goal. Because you talking about getting married, you're not talking about getting married and being married for 6 months. You're talking about being married for a little while. Okay? And you want to say to death do you part, if the Lord allow it to be like that. All right, number 2. What do you value? This is what 10 questions a woman should ask a man. What do you value most in your relationship with others? What do you value most in a relationship with others? Men, what's your value? What's in your mind? What do you value most in a relationship with others? This is what you need to ask the man, ladies. This is what you need to ask a man before you walk down that aisle. You need to make sure that you all on one accord, and you need to know where he's planning on going. You need to know where he's planning on going. What's his plan? Number 3, this is 10 questions a woman should ask a man. Number 3, what was a challenging experience that has shaped who you are today. This is what you need to ask the man, ladies. What was a challenging experience? Now, I'm talking real slow because somebody need to be writing this down, and you really need to ask that man. Ladies, you don't want to mess your life up with a man that don't know where he going. You don't want to mess your life up, because I'm going to tell you something. Marriage is really supposed to be a permanent thing. It's supposed to be a forever until you leave the earth. That's what it's supposed to be for now. As long as you both shall live. And so women, you don't want to mess your life up and that man don't know where he going or what he doing, or you need to know if all he wants is a dune buggy and you got your mind set on a Bentley. You need to know. You need to know what his values are. You need to know about this man. What is his long-term goals? What was a challenging experience that has shaped who you are today? And that's an insight. You got to think about that. And you need a man who can think. You need a man, ladies. Okay, when I first came on the podcast today, I started talking about the men and how they can be an attentive, give their wife attention. I'm talking to you ladies now. I'm talking to the ladies now, because this is important. A man might choose you, but you have to decide whether you want to say yes or no. He might say, oh, baby, you the one I want. But are you going to say yes to him? It's up to you. It's up to you. And when you find out how he is, then you really can make your choice. When you find out more about him, you can go and you can write this stuff down. Ladies, hear me. You can write it down and you can have your scale, and you're going to say, okay, well, I can take that. Know what you would tolerate from a man, and know what you will not tolerate. Yeah. Know what you're going to put up with, and know what you won't put up with. Because you might get married to somebody who, when they come out of the bathtub, they spitting everywhere. I'm telling you, ladies, you don't know. All right? You need to know. All right, let's go on to number 4. We're talking about 10 questions that a woman should ask a man. That's what we're talking about. If you know somebody that is in a relationship and it might be getting kind of deep, they need to hear these questions that they need to ask, the man. The next one is, how do you handle adversity or difficult situations in your life? You need to know how the man handles adversity. Different situations. You need to know if he believes in making his woman a punching bag once he get upset. Because some men, when they get upset, now this is 10 questions a woman should ask a man. Some men, when they get upset, they get to punching stuff, they get to cursing, they get to slamming doors, they get to doing all kind of stuff, and you over there shaking because you didn't know you had married somebody like that. Some men don't control their temper well. But you need to ask the man, how do you handle adversity or difficult situations in your life? Some men shut down and they don't want to say anything. They get real quiet. Because a lot of them, when adversity or conflict or a situation come up, they don't know what to do, and they're too ashamed to tell the wife or the soon-to-be wife, I really don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do, because they got so much pride. And some of them, they'll just say anything out their mouth and don't know if it's wisdom or what. But pride gets in their way. So you need to ask the man. We're talking about 10 questions a woman should ask a man. And ladies, I want to help you all out, because I got married at 18. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just green. as the spring grass coming up. No, not just the spring grass. How about that potted grass they put out there to make the house look better? I was green and I didn't know anything, and I don't want you women to be like that. I don't want anyone to be like that. All right, number 5. This is 10 questions a woman should ask a man. Okay, number 5. What motivates and inspires you? This is what a woman should ask a man. What motivates and inspires you in your personal and professional life? Ladies, you need to know if what motivates him. You need to know. It was, oh baby, you the one I want. That's what somebody say. Somebody say, oh baby, you the one I want. But you need to know what motivates and inspires the man of your dreams, or before you get married. You need to know what motivates him and what inspires him in his personal life and his professional life. Because some people are not motivated in their professional life, okay? But some of them are just motivated, can be motivated in their personal life. And I say that because, you need to know, sisters, if you got the right one, baby. You need to know if you got the right one, baby. You hear me? You need to know, because a man is a man. And when I say a man is a man, I'm saying they're not all alike, but real men, or men, they have a lot of similarities. Okay? I had a relationship with my dad. I had a relationship with my brothers. So men, a lot of them think somewhat alike. Not all alike, but they have some of the same characteristics. So anyway, let's move on to number 6. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about 10 questions that a woman should ask a man. You need to ask a man and know where he's going. Number 6 says, what is a passion or a hobby that brings you joy and fulfillment? You need to know. Ladies, sisters, you need to know what is a passion or a hobby that brings you joy and fulfillment. Some people, the only thing that brings them joy and fulfillment is, they don't really have anything. They just want to get high all the time. You need to know that. You need to know if that's their passion or hobby, and that's all that they want to do. Because if you know ahead of time, sisters, if you know ahead of time, then when you get married to the man, don't be expecting you're going to change him now. Okay? Because a lot of times men don't want to be changed. So if that's what you married, that's what you're in. And if you're not willing to pray your way through that, then a lot of times you can be stuck in that if the man don't change. The old saying that say, what you see is what you get. A lot of times that is the way it is. What is a passion or a hobby that brings you joy? This is what a woman should ask a man. What is a hobby or passion that brings you joy and fulfillment? You need to know about this man, because it might be something else. He might go out women looking, that might bring him joy and fulfillment, but you need to know, and it's good to ask these questions. 10 questions a woman should ask a man. 10 questions. Number 7. What are your views on personal growth and self-improvement? That's a big one. Self-improvement. Some people are stuck. Wherever they got stuck at, they're still stuck. Okay? And so it's good to know what is a man's view on growth. Some people don't want to grow. They've been doing the same thing for 10 years. They've been doing the same thing for 20 years. I'm talking about they could be smoking cigarettes 2 packs a day for 20 years. And they don't want to grow or they don't want to self-improve to stop smoking. So you need to know what are the views on your personal growth and your self-improvement. Do you plan to self-improve? Do you plan? Now, you need to ask the man, sweetheart, are you planning on improving? And, or he might need to lose weight. What are you planning on doing? And it's good to know before you get into it. It's even good to know before you get into the relationship with the man. Not, marriage could be on down the road, but before you even start dating and getting serious about somebody, it's good to know these answers. It's good to know, what do you think about this? That it is. Well, what are your views on personal growth, and what are your views on self-improvement? How are you going to improve yourself? What do you feel? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if you all about, ladies, if you all about making yourself look good, if you're all about self-improvement, your hair, your body, and everything, why would you want to have a man that's not trying to improve himself? He's feeling low about himself. He doesn't fix himself up. He's always dirty. He never, want to improve or go to something, go to an outing that will improve his even character. And so you need to know what his views are, ladies. You need to know what his views are. And you don't want a man who never wants to grow, but he wants to remain the same over and over again. The same old, same old. He's cussing when he first started after you get married, and then he continued to cuss after 10 years, and he never want to improve his terminology. Okay, number 8. How do you balance, harmonize work and personal life? That's a good one as well. These are 10 questions a woman should ask a man. How do you balance, harmonize work and personal life? Good question. Because if someone never has time for you and all they have is work on their mind, well, when will the relationship come in? If all they want to do is work all the time and they have no personal life, they don't go to church, they don't go out to a date, they don't, because date night is very important. And sometimes men, even women can be like this, but we're talking about 10 questions a woman should ask a man. Sometimes men are couch potatoes, as they say. And all they want to do is sit there and watch television. And the wife, she wants something else. She wants to do something else. So you need to know how the man, this is the question, how do you balance, harmonize work and a personal life? That's very important in a relationship. This is 10 questions a woman should ask a man. 10 questions a woman should ask a man. Number 9, what kind of legacy, impact do you hope to leave behind? A lot of men don't know, but when you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different relationships with women, that is really doing something negative to your legacy. Most people remember you the way you live. And so a question that a woman needs to ask a man is, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind? And some men wouldn't dare mess up their legacy. Some men don't think much of their legacy, but you should. You should think about your legacy and what you're leaving behind. Okay? Number 10, questions a woman should ask a man. How would you describe your ideal partner or relationship? Do you know, ladies, that men need to tell you how do they see their partner, an ideal partner, someone that they would want to have and live a life with, as their life partner? Do you know, ladies? Do you know what a man would want in a woman? Do you know? Because that's a question that needs to be asked. That's a question that needs to be asked. How would you describe your ideal partner? How would you describe your ideal relationship? And do they know? This is the thing. You ask, and if you ask the question, you find out if they know or not. You'll find out, but it's time to ask questions. Watch a person that is very quiet. Okay, you need to ask these questions, ladies. You need to ask these questions. Don't just go in a relationship with your eyes closed. Your eyes closed. You don't want to see the red flags. You need to ask, and you need to know what type of relationship that because it can give you, it might be a vague, outlook on it, but you can see when you start asking questions and you start getting the answers, you can see how that relationship, vaguely, but you can see how it's going to go. You can put it in your mind, because some of those questions that you ask, it's the way he answers those questions, and you can say, okay, no. That is not for me. And listen, ladies, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying this. Don't waste your time. I'm going to say that. Don't waste your time. Don't have such low self-esteem that you'll take the first train coming through. If you know that man is a way that you can't deal with, the best thing for you to do is keep it stepping. That's the best thing for you to do. You don't he's just that way. And then you stay in something and then you're miserable. You're miserable. And because like I said before, marriage is a covenant. Okay? And it's a covenant between you and God and him. Marriage is a covenant. And it's nothing to be taken lightly. And guess what I want to say here? That's your life you talking about. That's your life you dealing with. Doesn't that mean something for you to want to ask these questions? Man, what do you think? What do you think? And then you have a clearer perspective on how he thinks and how he feels about a relationship before you get into it. And then you won't go in there blind. And then I ain't know this here was going to be like this, man. I didn't know this was going to be like this here. Well, marriage, I tell you, marriage wasn't for me. No, when you ask these questions, when you ask the questions and you get the answer from him, that's going to let you know some things about him. And, especially if he's telling you the truth. And now, you got somebody that's a liar, you got something on your hands right there. If you got a man that lied to you in the beginning, come on, somebody. You got somebody going to tell you a bunch of lies. Honey, you better get you some tennis shoes and you better run fast run. You better run like you never ran before. If you find out that you're dealing with a liar. If you find out you're dealing with a liar, that's one thing that can ruin a marriage or a relationship. Somebody that constantly lies. Somebody that constantly lies. You need somebody to tell you the truth. But I just want to come on and talk about these 10 questions that a woman should ask a man, because to me that's very important. When I was 18 and I got married, I didn't know, and I didn't really have anybody to tell me about marriage. So I went in blind, and a lot of disappointments came through from being married so young and not really knowing a lot about marriage. But it's very important because the Word of God says, husbands, love your wives. And it's very, very important, you all, for the husband. I remember, and I think I told you all one time before, I was in high school. And I remember a substitute teacher came through and she said to me, honey, I didn't know what she was saying. I didn't know what she was saying to me. But she said this. She said, honey, you can learn to love anybody. That's what she told me. She said, you can learn to love. And I was in high school. And she, I didn't know I was going to get married at 18, but I did. But she told me that in high school, you can learn to love anybody. And I found out that what she was saying is a woman can adjust herself to the man, so to speak. And you can learn to love anybody. But the Bible says that a husband needs to love his wife as Christ loved the church. Women generally don't have a problem with loving someone else. You all know if you're a woman, we're nurturers. We really don't have much problem with loving people. Okay? But the Bible says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And so we come on usually on Monday, and because I do have some more information to give you all, but we normally come on Mondays at 5 p.m. and with husband love your wives. And I want to see better relationships. I love marriage. When I say that, I love for people to get along. Marriages, I love that. I love, as they say. And I want to see people get along a whole lot better than what I've seen in the past. But anyway, I encourage everyone to like, share, and subscribe, and see me on Monday at 5 p.m. with Husbands Love Your Wives. I love you all. Have a blessed rest of your evening. Peace.